Alright, hello. I want to talk about movement, and more so just trying to figure out what I want in the game I want to make. Um, a simple movement that is gonna probably be universal is walk, jump. Let's start with something simple. Walk, jump. Button is an optional one. I'm not 100% sure if I want run. Dash is another one. Dash is There's multiple types of dashes that could be done. I'm not sure which would be the best type though. I could think about aerial aerial movements. I want this to be a little closer to Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, much of the anime fighting games, but not anything absurd. Dragon Ball has a lot of air mobility. Blaze Blue has more so combo air mobility, but that's like you're in a combo, so you might as well continue. And if it goes upwards, might as well have some transition moves as well, just like air to ground, or ground to air. Nope, so have these. In case they spawn up, maybe it'll be more interesting that way. Now, do I know exactly what I want? Not 100% sure. Because I still need to figure out what would be good, what would be fun, and I also want to figure out cancel windows for some of this stuff. The brake system and Fatal Fury is pretty cool. And start an attack, stop the attack, and continue that, and that can give you different movement options. It also makes me think Metroidvania sometimes they're very kind and generous when it comes to defensive options, because the player is supposed to be strong, not the enemies. So they allow quickly being able to dodge by a dash, um, pretty much at any time. So I don't think I felt in Hollow Knight when I played that the movement was funky ever. You could always move as at whatever point you wanted it. It, it definitely helped to make the game feel smoother. So air movement and air dash would maybe be too much. Um, um, there's dive kicks. Um, dives, ground slams. We'll just define some more, just a bunch of them, I guess. Ground to air, So, why did that happen? Super jump. Hmm. Are there even many movement options on the ground? There's crouch walk. That could be a thing. I don't know if it would be a great idea. Like, what's this? Air mode, air dash. Just put a list of things and we can decide on whether or not we want to elaborate. But feel free to maybe help think of some stuff. If you got any games you played, you found had nice movement, feel free to say something. It's definitely good to think out loud sometimes if you can't think internally, which is what we're doing now. So there are other types of moves. If we take a look at, well, Street Fighter mostly has like dive kicks. Um, there's the Coma Air Fireball that exists. Well, you could put an option for other movement that I can't really define because teleporting is there. Torch, flash, dash. I'm gonna put here as well. Or this Celeste dash. And some of these stuff can be like reused for special moves instead of just single moves. Many of them are gonna be like a specific velocity change, but it's just what do I want to do that makes it seem fun, interesting, not too complicated to engage in. Walk, jump, crouch walk. There's slides that exist. Put one in here too, because those are options for things, not just what I would want to put. Air movements, we got jumps, air dash. What else? What else is a common aerial movement option? Air special move. Resists. Ground to air. Just gonna put Zangief level 1. Because this exists. I don't know how to spell Zangief. That was not too far off. But enough off that it would annoy people. Huh? There's Slither, I guess. Slither, because he does that. But here. Celeste Dash is a pretty complicated can of worms. Um, there's Forced Object Movement, which I don't think is the right name for it, but Celeste also has movement based off of hitting specific trigger. Um, So if you jump on one of the platform moves and gives you momentum. That's kind of a trigger, but it's not exactly what I mean. Uh, Later in the game, there's the bubbles that force you into a specific direction. There's also the bird and the farewell level, and Adeline that also does things. There's the dream blocks too that are something as well. But what would I call something like that? And it wouldn't be. I don't know if it would be the best thing. Let's just call it canon or force canon movement. What do I want to talk about? What do I mean by movement in this scenario as well? So maybe it might help for people coming in just to talk, think what is movement that I mean. Um, Movement. God damn it. That can be done at any point and has somewhat fixed the trajectory unless another movement option is used. Now, one other thing about movement that might be a consideration is that doesn't have to be as high quality as the combo structure, which there definitely needs to be something. Yeah, there's dry rush. Gonna put this here for because it is technically in a movement option. Teleport. Another thing that's similar to teleport, which I'll just put next to it, is swap positions. What other ground to air? Gonna put DP. That's a pretty common movement option for Street Fighter. Actually, a lot of games. Always some like instantly goes straight up or near straight up option that covers anti-airs most of the time, usually are invincible. That can be used as like an aerial special as well in some games to add more vertical movement. Or it might just be better than a jump. Mm, I hate that I can't press the normal button. What happens when some things are like this? Okay. There's air stall that you can get from doing certain types of moves. The air fireball in Akuma's kit has that option. You can just do the air fireball that slows you in the air. Uh, what is his name? Dawson also has a stall, which is a float, really. So actually, I'll put that here as a slightly separate thing. Float. Maybe let's take a look at some other games. Air dodge is an option. I don't think that I would like air dodging or dodging in general. Um, well, if we think Metroidvania, a lot of dashes are considered dodges, so this could be. I think air dodge would need to be a separate thing because this would imply invulnerability. That's what implies invulnerability. What? Why are words hard? Okay, so what's another thing that you can go from the air to the ground? We put portals here. Those portals are interesting. Portals would be hard to code, but they could be interesting. So we're on DP. I'm gonna put super slash charge jump. That can clarify it a bit for some people. So it makes it sense for me. There's glide, which is a different type of thing. Glide, slant. Could I put axe kick and call it? Yeah. I guess it could be like axe kick. Because you just go up into the air a little bit and axe it down. One some special effects that might be useful for like a sword fighter character is sword slashes. Hey, those are options. Anything on portals, propositions. What's the type of game that I haven't? Wall running? For a 2D game, that would be a very, very difficult thing. Somehow I haven't even thought about walls yet. So, walls, climb, jump, wall jump, wall climb, wall hang. Mhm. There's also like a rubber-like bouncing, or elastic bounce. Elastic bounce. games do that people can't that are interesting? Movement options. There's swimming. There's current-based movement or wind boxes. Could I give a player wind boxes to just like put around, mess around, and change their movement? That might be a bit too strong depending on the type of wind boxes or how the wind boxes work. Wind boxes would be a mess of a thing. Once we know all our options, we can probably decide between them. Hmm. The thing is, this would define movement, but it wouldn't define the full game's combat. Okay. It's still like cancelable movement or something. What I think is that you could just simply cancel. So simply walk, run, dodge, or dash. Those are simple ones that could be messed with, to be canceled, and are pretty common. I can walk and then jump, I can dash and then jump. Some games you can just dash during the dash. Or sorry, jump during the dash. Gravity flip for movement would be actually not good in a fighting game. At least I don't know how I would implement it into a way that would be reasonable. Because if somebody does a gravity flip, depending on how it's implemented, it could be at the full screen, everything's flipped, or single flip. Or like the single person flip. How would that even work in a combo? I don't know. There's attack bounce. So under special moving, I'll put bonbons. What other fighting games have I been trying that had something? Hmm. headbutts, like Honda headbutt. I'll put it under here. Vehicular movement on a bike or something. Go to cool trips, manipulate the angle and movement and whatnot. Also, bikes might just be cool. Jump off a bike. I don't know. Hmm. Grapple's an option, which I'll put under here. Wingsuits would be under glide. Jetpacks would be positive. A little bit different. But giving the ability to someone to fly would be a bit too much. It could be like an enemy though. A bird, a poltergeist or something. Figure out what else could be movement options. It's a pretty full list, but I just don't know. I guess I can start highlighting things. So let's just put yellow for stuff that is gonna be absolutely necessary. Here's another thing about fighting games. What if there just wasn't a corner? At least not normally. Because Metroidvanias allow for this implication, where your combos have to be able to just juggle, not carry to the corner and then start corner carrying. And then that adds the opportunity for a character to have forced wall bounces by creating their own wall to get a wall bounce to do their own combo. Because maybe there's just not a corner. It can also lead to forced spacing traps if like it actually summons a solid object. That can of course be broken. How would I break something that would be placed behind the player though? Would I give the player the ability to actually look both directions? And then that loses half the special options because you can't go backwards and do something? Or do I think it's just a backwards hitting attack? Or does the attack just dissipate pretty quickly? The thing is that we have like instantaneous ice come up from the ground as an ice spike. That doesn't seem like it should just go away quickly. Including if it's like in front of somebody. It could be broken on like blocks, on that isn't relevant to movement. Okay. Tatsu, which is just the kick spin. Kick spin. So you've got like fully horizontal movement, fully vertical movement, some angled movement. Um, like wall jump, double jump, hang. I got a ceiling exist. Like, jump off the ceiling. You know, that could be an option. Is the player another option to move fast downwards? They're just using a dive kick. Do, do, do. Oh yeah, I was thinking of a character that just walks on air. As like a possible character. For two reasons. One, I can just not do aerial normals because they would just use their regular normals. And literally only their lows would be usable as aerial attacks. Or more so, I think it would be useful or interesting if it was like they can do aerial attacks like normal, but then they combo as if they were grounded. Just place ground blade. Swinging. That's another thing that I will put off ceiling. Swing. I hate having that happen. What system mechanic thing would be good? There's the option of dash through, which should be bracketed as something. Okay, so there's other things that simple Metroid, some Metroidvanias did that were okay. We can probably think a bit more about some of this movement stuff regarding Metroidvania progression. One of the games that I've seen with the most strange progression, I don't remember the name, but I recognize. Wait, Indivisible? No? Yes. This one has really strange, like, progression. We'll use that as a reference. Um, so it's got, like, race. Yeah. Oh, that could be a good system mechanic thing. EX moves. Just universally, EX moves can be a breakable object that is required to be done. Same with supers. This is breakable. So with EX moves and EX moves and supers, those can be like tough walls or something. Must be used for secrets too. Can allow for some stuff. Having these as the options for having things being broken. Then other things that could be progression based. Another progression problem could be big gap. Or I just explore. Other things. Indivisible doesn't do it, but Tesla Grad does it, which is a dash through a wall that requires a teleport dash. So, teleport wall. That one can be a bit more character specific. Just say like some character has a better dash because they can teleport or whatnot. Or at least a different enough dash that it has the advantage of it's not able to be hurt through active, but it has more recovery or something. I mean, ninja characters have that kind of thing. Some games. Guilty Gear had one until they decided to just remove it. And there was also there's M Bison with like the boss mode that has the ability to just teleport, including in place. Mm. Like this Metroidvania progression stuff can help define things that are needed to be universal. And highlight things that would definitely be able to be universal. These are all possibility of universally applicable. This is not what I wanted to do the first time. Yeah, so these are universally applicable. Things that are not universally applicable are again the teleport wall, crouch movement, or low profile movement. That can be a privilege given to some characters that isn't given to other characters. Aki has that option because they can slither. Some characters like get an attack started and crouch. Then some of the weird things about Indivisible is it just has the character specifically for progression go through a slightly up gap instead of sliding by jump sliding into a gap with a corkscrew move or something. I maybe be able to show Indivisible game or images. other one I can just put here as wall jump. Wall jump. Um, I have big gap, but it could be like fly gap. Sorry, speed requirement. Yes, every time you press the letter Q, you should always follow it up with a U. Or almost always, because every single time the letter's used, there's just a U right afterwards. Okay. Okay. If this is the thing we can define here, what would be universal move progression? So let's start with like starts with normals and three moves, two moves, three moves. Guile has three moves, which is DP, Fireball, and then like other Fireball. Haki has quite a few, but many of them are mapped to the same buttons. Mm. There's also like the minor variation caveat between several of them when it comes to some games. So, Fatal Fury, there is a bunch of characters that can just do stuff that other characters can't. Starts with almost and three specials. Channels 1-0 or 1 super. And then what would my super cap be? Would it be 2, 3, 4, 5? What would I want the number to be capped at? I don't know. Could be anything. Okay, so if we wanted to be like, what do they not have? Don't start with projectile, which can be a progression, comma, projectile check. Though that would mean every character could have a projectile. Or, sorry, would need a projectile. Which not all games do. Especially because grapplers exist. Here's a funny thing that could happen. The grappler could use the other player as a projectile. That would work for Metroidvania progression purposes. Give the player a projectile box or something. after they're grabbed, they have a projectile box that doesn't hurt them or the player or the other player, but just specifically does projectile objects. So that's one thing. Um, Another one could be like really high DP. And then if I wanted to not be mean, I could also not force too many opponents that jump when they don't have like an actual anti-air button. Would they want a universal anti-air? They want a universal anti-air. Uh, Universal anti-air. Universal anti-air. Starts with normals. 3 specials is probably enough, maybe too much. Maybe not too much. I don't really know. Because Street Fighter gives 2, and when it comes to certain characters, that's just not enough to like feel like you're playing a character. Like JP in World Tour is just terrible to start with. You can't really do combos except in the corner with the base that you get. Because all you get is spin as an offensive move. The other thing you get is amnesia, which is the counter, and that's like I have one special move for offensive purposes in that point. Like, are people going to be really using a counter and using it well? I don't know. A funny thing that could just be like a level 3, 4/5. I don't even know what the number I want the super bar to go to. It could go all the way up to 5 if I really wanted it to. There's just some other insane number. I could be like, you get level 1, level 2 at 3 bars, and level 3 at 5 bars. Which would mean you'd be able to do level 2 into level 3. But if we could do 6 bars, it would be level 1, level 2, and level 3. Which would be interesting, but don't know if that's a great idea. But if we did that, we could also just say EX moves, something. Because like the super meter and the drive gauge are separated. Same with whatever Fatal Fury called the thing. Blaze Blue, I don't think has one, but it has assists. So there's that. That's a different mechanic altogether. Not everything has EX moves. My gosh, why is this guy streaming so late into the night? Ay, ay, ay. It's probably a different time zone as mine. Okay. So, it starts some normals. Well, most normals. Pretty much all normals. Normals should be pretty common. Especially like every character is gonna have pretty much the same normals. I'm just I'm just gonna be lazy and not code new normals, except for some command normals. Maybe some command normals. Let's root in one or two command normals question mark for the second part. Why is it so specific about normals? Okay. Starting with few special moves would probably be fine. Really high DP would probably need to be locked out. How high would I want to make DP? High enough to like make it so that it goes to an interesting combo? Could I just make gravity like non-existent? I put gravity in Godot as 1,000 pixels per second, which is close to the 980 pixels per second that it starts to lead off with as gravity. Um, if we just make the game floatier, that's another option. Just don't have to let them jump too high. But too floaty, the game is less, doesn't feel as nice in some scenarios, especially for metroidvanias. So like, how many is this universally? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6. 6 things that could be considered possibly universal, and if that's not it, we can get 4. What do most games just have? Indivisible as an exception with like 20 or something, and like even then it's like one that is stronger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, no, that's like 5 universal ones, not 6. So Hollow Knight has for universal checks, or sorry, for checks, it's got double jump, dash, dash, and double jump. Sorry, that is a separate one because yeah, it don't matter. Crystal dash, shadow dash. Is that it? Is that it for movement? Ah, Mantis Claw, which is wall jump. Do I give everybody the ability to wall jump? Doesn't have to be wall jump because it could just be really high floor and we give them a different way to go up. Which could have like in the fighting game portion be a normal move or another option for it. Okay, let me finish the first thing. It could be a normal move in one scenario where it's just a fighting game. In the Metroidvania, it can be a normal move with a secondary action after the first move. Or it could be that secondary action in the fighting game as well, and then that can just use it as a different combo option. Like an ice skater. If they have the ability to put ice somewhere, they could build themselves a ramp. And then you can use that ramp and combo in the air. Why not? gosh. Air combos would be an interesting thing, and I don't know how to really make one. I haven't had to. Um, I haven't had to make combos at all, but that's just another thing. So, and then like having four different like character specific ones is also a good thing. I guess the gravel could work as a character specific one. Photo swap position, Celeste. Charge, charge jump is another one. Now, like a lot of these things could be EX move is required to do the really long one or multiple instances of EX. Allow it to repeat. Ooh, a unique thing we could do that I just thought of, based on the EXP, is that repeated moves have a special secondary effect after the second use, leading to new combo options using EX. So you would go like EX move number one, and you do another full part of the combo, and then you go EX move one again, and you get a new effect that allows you to continue differently. Um, or it would be EX move one, and then into EX move one, and you get a new thing to happen. I'm not sure though. It could be supers though, because like I like the idea of you do a combo, you use a super, and then bam, you can continue the combo. Seems cool. It's interesting. This would make it like more interesting for the metroidvania, especially. Okay. Now we've written down things, and it's late. An end stream, and we will think about this later when we decide to refine our universal mechanics. Bye.